your host, Ana Belen. We're here with Dr. Pritchett, who is an expert in map testing, and let's just have a conversation about that. So, Dr. Pritchett, would you mind introducing yourself?
I'm Reed Pritchett. I'm the Dean of Curriculum Teaching and Learning here at CAG. I've done a variety of things over the course of my career, some of which involves MAP.
Oh, great. So, have you worked with the company of MAP? How many years? What has been your experience with MAP testing?
Yeah, so my first time to work with MAP was when I was doing my dissertation work. It was a relatively new assessment in some of the schools that we were working with on a project that I was on. And so I looked at how schools went about putting that assessment in place, with implementation. And that's what I wrote my dissertation on. Later in life, I had the opportunity to actually work for the company, NWA, that created the assessment itself.
Yeah.
And put it in place. And that was a rich experience, being able to work with teachers and administrators at schools throughout the world that use that assessment.
For new parents who are watching us, how does map testing work? Is it just one test? Is it divided in topics? How would you divide it?
That's a great question. So there are a couple different assessments that NWA puts out. One of the things that makes map testing really powerful is it tells us more than just a student's achievement level relative to a population of students in the U.S. It tells us the rate at which students grow.
Oh, yeah, that's what I find interesting when I do the map testing myself, because I love getting to watch my progress as I take how I am improving in some areas, how I am staying in some areas, because it gives me a better idea of what I need to work on, what I'm doing well. It's just a good assessment because you are being compared to other students, but it is more a race against yourself. And that's something very important when talking about academics. How in the school it is divided in different classes, right? There's English, there's science. How is it? Is it the same for high school and middle school, or is it different?
There are some differences in terms of our assessment that we've provided to students over time. There are a couple different assessments that we use. One of those assessments is reading. And reading, there are two options. We have an English and a Spanish.
Yeah.
Yep. So we do both. We start those in third and fourth grade, respectively. So fourth grade for Spanish. And then there's the mathematics, which we start in the third grade. And these assessments tend to run up to 10th grade. We also add the science in a little bit later as we go. Okay.
And with map testing, how are the students compared? When I see how would you call it, the outcome of the assessment, it tells me 3 things: how I am compared to myself, compared to the students in the school, and compared to students in the grade. How does that work actually?
Yeah, so there's a population that we're compared to with regard to achievement and growth in those areas. So when we look at the data itself, that group it's what's called a sculpted group. So they create a statistical population in the United States to figure out how to compare them. And they try to create a controlled group.
Yeah.
So they control for things like socioeconomic status, so that you get a representative group from across the United States. And again, for us, it's important to remember that it's a comparison to that sculpted group in the United States.
Yeah, and the good thing is that we're in American school, so we are actually compared to things that are learning these same things as us.
Yes.
And when talking about map testing, how does it help the student?
I think there are a couple ways. The big one, again, goes back to growth. The achievement is important, but knowing the rate at which you're learning is I think, even more important. The way that MAP calculates that, it looks at where you scored and your performance level using what's called a RIT score or Rouse unit. which is a scale that just runs from 100 to 350.
Oh.
And then it compares you to other students at your grade level who scored that same score on that particular
Oh.
test. And then when you take the test again, it says, this is how you grew compared to them. So they have a large population of kids who say scored a 215, and you get compared to other students in your grade level
Yeah.
who scored that 215, and that tells you the percentile at which you're growing.
Oh, okay. I have also seen that there are different colors when looking at the graph. It represents when your line is going up, it starts to change the color. But that has to do with the score, right? What is there a minimum and maximum score, or how does the scoring work?
Yeah, the scale runs from 100 to 350. Nobody really scores a 350, just to be clear. Even the teachers who take it probably won't get a 350.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do separate it for viewing purposes, so you have an idea of what quintile you're in, or what 20 percentile group you're in. And so they group it in that way so that when you look at it, you know how you're performing relative to those groups.
Oh, okay. What do you think is the most important thing about when map testing? I have seen that we have done it in different blogs. We do it in the morning. How does the time and the day that we do it affect the scoring?
I don't know how the time of day affects it. Probably affects it differently for different people. Some people are morning people and they perform the best in the morning. Other people, especially when we become teens, do a little bit better in the afternoon. So it's going to vary based on the person. I think one of the things to remember is this is what's called an adaptive assessment. So when you sit down to take the assessment itself, you get a question. And if you get that question right, the next question gets a little harder.
Oh.
And then if you get that question right again, it'll get harder still. But then when you get it wrong, it gets a little easier for the next question.
Oh, okay.
And so you essentially get to a place where you're getting half the questions right and half the questions wrong. For those of us that want to get everything right all the time, just know that this assessment is going to find the place where you're getting things right and getting things wrong half the time. And over the course of those 43 questions, it's going to figure that out and zero in on what your RIT score is specifically.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask too. How does the length of the map test work? Because I have seen that there are students that get 40 questions, some get 43. How does that work too?
Yeah, it gets to a place where it says, I have a high level of confidence that this is what your RIT score is. And when it gets there, you just stop getting questions. It doesn't make sense for you to get any more questions. It's designed to be an untimed assessment. As a student, I think the key thing to remember is give your best effort.
Yeah.
The design of these assessments is not for it to feel like it's a summative assessment evaluating you. It's not a grade, but our teachers do use this information to inform some of the decisions that they make and also to customize learning for our students.
Yeah, that's what I love about the school, that they are always trying to suit the students at best. Because the school is always trying to make the students shine, whether it is academics, music, athletics, clubs. We always try to make the best, the most broad type of learning for our students, so we can be students that are experienced in every field. And map testing helps in that because it helps inform the student, the parents, the teachers, how we're doing, how do we need to work, is there something that maybe we need some assessment, some help on. And it helps the teachers also know, oh, maybe I should cover this too, so because I have seen a lot of students get this wrong. But when talking about the map testing, is there something that you want the parents to know, or something you want the students to know? Mostly those perfectionist students who are always comparing their grades and have the same grade and are like, no, I'm not improving. What could you say to them?
Yeah, again, this isn't a grade. The point is to give your best effort to get a sense of how you're performing. I think especially with students, remember, in order to calculate growth, you're being compared to other students who have the same score as you. So anybody performing at, say, the 95th percentile, you're being compared to other 95th percentile students. That's a hard driving group of students.
Yeah.
So when you look at growth, okay, you shouldn't be discouraged if you score at the 50th percentile or the 25th percentile. And I will say, as we get out to the edges of performance, whether that be on the high end or the low end, sometimes scores get a little wonky too.
Yeah.
It gets a little crazy as you get out to the ends. So I would say don't be discouraged by it by any means. Just give your best effort, see what it tells you, and figure out how to move forward with that information in a way that's useful for you.
Okay. And to wrap this up, is there anything you want to tell our community about map testing? And high school is getting map tests next week. Is there something you want to tell the students? Something to tell the teachers, our parents? Anything you want to, a message you want to give out?
Yeah, I'd say the primary message is give your best effort and be prepared to give your best effort. And so it's bigger than just going in and doing your best on the assessment. It includes things like getting enough sleep, making sure you're well rested, ensuring that you've had a good breakfast, because we know all of those things contribute
it
to
contributes
us doing our best.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot do your best when you have slept 3 hours.
No.
Try to get the most sleep, a good breakfast, and just be calm when taking it, right? Because
Definitely.
people get sometimes too stressed and they start to, no, I don't have time. What am I going to do? But remember, this is not a time assessment. You just do your best. We just want to know. And I had a question. I have seen many students that are studying for map testing. Do you recommend that, or?
You can't study for MAP. It's not something that's designed to be studied for.
It's not like an SAT or a mock test or anything.
No, it's not like those assessments. It gives us an idea. There is a projection that it provides that gives us a sense of how we might do on those other assessments. And it does provide some connections to college readiness and giving us an idea if we're on track to be able to do college work. But it's not really something that one studies for. Studying for it means just doing your best each day in your classes and becoming a better learner. Consistency in your practice, because that's the stuff that's going to get embedded in your brain, and you're going to be able to pull it up and answer those questions when the time comes.
Okay, this was an amazing conversation that we just had. To finish this up, let's get some school spirit. Go Hornets. 1, 2, 3. Go Hornets!